Microsoft shares are hitting a new all-time high. Strong third quarter report. Briefly this morning, shares were up enough that Microsoft crossed the magical $1 trillion market cap mark. It's come a little bit below that, but I mean, this was another great quarter. And for all the talking we do about Amazon Web Services, let's take a moment and talk about Microsoft's cloud, because Azure is crushing it.
I'm so glad that you brought that up and brought it up in the context of Amazon. Well, first of all, by the way, congratulations to Microsoft joining Club Trillion, at least for a while. It has a membership of 1, now back to 0. A lot of people think of AWS and Amazon Prime as being amongst the most powerful, valuable business franchises, recurring revenue models in the history of mankind. But Azure and, really shockingly, Microsoft Windows and Office, I think, are even more valuable in terms of being a recurring revenue model. And they weren't for a long time. It was, you get a computer, it comes bundled in it. But they have done an amazing job at Microsoft turning themselves into an automatic recurring revenue model. I mean, the only reason that you're, the only reason at this point that you're going to leave Amazon is I don't know, if you die, go out of business, merge, whatever it is. So Amazon, I keep saying Amazon. Do you remember, for years we kept, the theme around Microsoft was like, oh, poor Microsoft. They're getting crushed by Apple. They're getting crushed by Google. It's not like Microsoft this entire time was the Zune, they are, or the PC. They have really turned themselves around, and a lot of really smart investors weren't paying attention to it.
Yeah, and even those years when Microsoft was not really buzzworthy, for lack of a better term, because they would try and come out with these things like the Zune, and certainly the Surface tablet, the early versions of that were not as great as they are now.
Yeah.
But even then, when they didn't really have the buzz factor, when Steve Ballmer was running the company and they were just sort of floundering, it was still a company that was turning out a lot of cash, to go back to what you were saying, because of those franchises, because of those recurring revenues they had.
Yeah. And the first person who tipped me off to this was former Fool analyst Matt Ritchie. He said, just look at the look at the cash that they're generating. And because it wasn't a tremendous growth model at the time, people just ignored it. But the interesting thing to me about Amazon and this quarter's results is all 3 of their major segments are just crushing it. I mean, they generated $30 billion in revenues, which is up 14%, in areas that you just wouldn't even think have that type of growth left in them. And those are fantastic, huge numbers for Microsoft.
Satya Nadella would not accept the credit if you were to give him all of the credit. But holy cow, it really, the transformation of this business under his leadership has been incredible. And by the way, every now and then we take a victory lap on this show. There are CEOs on conference calls. Every now and then they take a victory lap. He could have taken a victory lap. No, there is no chest beating. There is no jersey. There's no jersey popping with Satya Nadella. He's just,
here's our conference call. Yeah. What do you got? We killed it.
Yeah. I mean, he is sort of the embodiment of the servant leader.
And embodiment is right. And I actually think much more highly of Steve Ballmer's leadership than I think he's given credit for, because he took the reins from the true founder of the company. And things were going okay in various places under the surface at a time in which Microsoft's bread and butter, which was PC sales, was first starting to tank. But yeah, I mean, embodiment is the exact right word, because he is calm, he's impressive, and I think that people are no longer view Microsoft as this sweaty, slightly overweight mess. Which, I mean, it's harsh, but it's probably true.